Well, hi everyone. Here I am, Dawn with Bling, and we've had a busy day. She had her first chemo treatment today, and I think it went really well. So let's visit about how we found this. I've got some notes, so pardon me for looking at notes, but I didn't want to forget anything. In September 3rd actually, Bling started having what appeared to be a UTI, a urinary tract infection, really late at night. At first, we just thought she was having a reaction to the TV. She doesn't like gunfire, and we were watching a movie that had a lot of gunfire in it. So watching her go in and out, we have cameras on the dog run. Watching her go in and out, we realized that she was having to go to the bathroom. It wasn't the TV. And because some of the symptoms were very similar to bloat, we decided to take her to the emergency clinic. When we got to the emergency clinic, it was a 4 to 8 hour wait. And I said, please make sure it's not life threatening, and that if you could please x ray her for bloat to rule that out. We'll be happy to wait however long it is. And I really think it's not bloat, but please just let me know it's not. So they x rayed her, and sure enough, she had a UTI. Well, we gave them medication and got over that. And in October, I thought, I'm going to take her to the regular vet and just make sure that she doesn't have any lingering infection that we need to treat, because we're very careful with our dogs. So we went to the regular vet, and he had gotten all the information from the emergency vet, looked at the x-rays, saw that she had no stones, nothing in the bladder, nothing that he felt was of concern. You okay? Nothing that he thought was concerning, and come on, lay down, baby. And so he did a culture of her urine, and it came clean. So he goes, she's healthy, everything's fine, and no worries. Well, we got into November, and I thought, oh, here's Bliss. Bliss. And we got into November, and I thought, we never ran a blood panel, and we noticed that Bling was panting a little bit. And we thought, gosh, was very intermittent. It wasn't anything concerning, but we thought, we never did a blood test, a senior panel. Let's take her in and get a senior panel done. Well, there was a new vet in town, and we have venomous snakes in our property, so we thought, let's just go in, introduce ourselves, get a relationship with a closer vet, and ask him to draw blood and do a blood test. So I explained all these sequence of events to him, and he was about to walk out of the room with Bling, and he stopped in the doorway, and he looked at me, and he goes, what do you think about running another urine test? And I go, let's not be too, can't be too cautious. Yeah, great idea, let's do that. Well, he comes back in the room, and he had a syringe filled with blood, and it was dark red, the kind of blood you'd expect if you had a blood test done at the doctor yourself and you were going to have it tested. And he goes, is there any blood in her urine? And I said, no, that her urine is good. So he goes, I must have hit something wrong, let me try to draw the urine again. So he came back, and this time he had a syringe full of perfectly hydrated urine, and everything was fine. And he goes, I tapped into something, and maybe she has closed pyometra. So he set me up with an appointment with the internal medicine specialist in Dallas the next morning, and we went in thinking that she had pyo, but this new vet said, let's not do any kind of spay on her without being sure that's what it is. So the new vet, or the internal medicine specialist in Dallas, ran every scan and ultrasound we could, full abdominal cavity, ran a whole slew of tests, and the test came back with a major mass. And at that time, he didn't feel it was operable. And I said, well, we can't not try. So he said, to get more information, we're going to have to do a CT scan for a surgeon. So we said, that's fine, let's do the CT scan. Well, the CT scan came back with a mass that was from one side of her abdomen to the other. Not your abdomen, but it took my breath away. I thought I was going to collapse right there in that vet hospital, looking at this scan that was up on a x-ray machine, for you to view. So we said, well, let's try the surgery. So he got with a surgeon, and the surgeon said it's operable, but the mass almost looked like a cloud. You know, it was all in this back area, and it was developed around her main artery to her rear legs, as well as another main vessel back there. So they said it's a very high risk. If this tissue from the tumor has fused with the tissue of the artery and it's ripped during surgery, she'll bleed to death. So now Rich and I had the decision: do we do an operation right now and risk losing our dog? Could she be with us another 4 or 5 months with this cancer? And the x-rays they'd done had shown her colon, it, instead of going straight, you know, through the body out, you know, the anus, it went to the cancer, went down, and then along the abdominal wall and out. So she had 2 right turns in her intestines for waste to pass through, and the waste was getting narrower and narrower over the duration of the time we were waiting for the surgery. So we knew that she could have a blockage in the near future, that she couldn't be able to pass anything. So we felt we were going to lose her either because of the intestines being blocked by the mass or for her to die in surgery. So we opted to do the surgery because we thought if she makes it, then we'll have the most amount of time with her. Now they tried to find the best surgery to do this because the surgery was so difficult that they didn't want just anyone to work on it because the danger of where the mass was and her arteries. So there was a 2-week wait for the surgeon. Meanwhile, the vet had checked all over Oklahoma, all over Texas to try and see if there was a quicker surgery that could be done. Checked with Texas A&M, they were booked out until February. And everybody agreed that the surgeons in Dallas were the most qualified to do it, and it was worth the 2-week wait, which made me erect because I had no idea how fast the tumor was growing. We have no idea how long the tumor was in there. So here's some of the symptoms that were very misleading. Bling had a great appetite. She wasn't Bling. She wasn't not eating. She was eating like a regular ravenous dog. Her weight was great. She hadn't lost any weight. Her poop was normal. She was drinking a little more and urinating a little more, but not something that we thought was odd because we had a really hot October and November here in Texas. So we just thought she was drinking more because of the heat. Her attitude was totally normal. There were no signs, no bumps, no lumps, nothing we could feel. I've had a dog that had an anal gland abscess before where there was some tenderness around the rectum, there was some drainage, and I bathe our dogs all the time and I groom the hair around the base of the tail. And I always palpate back there when I'm grooming them just to make sure there's no swelling after having that experience with a dog in the past. There was no tenderness, there was no drainage, she was not licking back there, there were no outward signs. Now here are the symptoms that we missed because we weren't looking. Bling didn't run as hard as she used to when she ran with Bliss, so that was odd. Another thing is Bliss here, she's got an incredible sniffer, and it's been suggested to us that we use her for tracking, but she was sniffing Bling's hind end, but I didn't pay any attention because Bling was due to be in a false pregnancy and I just thought it was hormones. But we missed that because Bliss was sniffing her, and maybe Bliss can be a cancer sniffing dog someday. But Bliss's behavior with her was a little different. We always kept the doggy door open at night so the dogs could go in and out and do what they needed to until we got Bliss. And then we shut the doggy door when we let Bliss sleep with us in the bedroom outside of a crate, and that was probably in November, because Bliss was going through the doggy door and barking at things at night. So all of a sudden their routine was different. The doggy door was shut. Well, Bling was waking us up at night, maybe once at night, having to go out, and we didn't have any measuring factor. They'd never been confined in the house before. They'd never been away from their water, which is in the dog run before. So we missed that Bling was having to go to the bathroom at night, and we attributed it to the doggy door being closed. So those were our real big signs, and they weren't really big signs, but when we look back, I wish I would have paid attention to them. Now, when I met with the oncologist today, since we bred Bling, and that worried me with her litter mates, I asked, is this hereditary? And the oncologist said, no, this cancer is just a bad luck thing. We had the bad luck of our dog getting it. Radiation, the oncologist wants to put off for now because of the proximity of the part of the mass they couldn't get out that's up by the spine, and the proximity is awfully close to her bladder and her intestines and things that with radiation, if they accidentally hit those things, it would be worse for Bling than not doing it and trying chemo first. So her plan is to do chemo first, and they're going to watch her and test her all the time, every 3 weeks actually, and blood tests weekly to keep an eye on her blood cell counts and the growth, to make sure that we don't need to do radiation. But because of the danger the radiation may pose with where the tumor is with Bling, the oncologist doesn't want to do the chemo right now. She's going to start her on something called carboplantin, which they did today, and that is this oncologist's first choice. And then she's got a couple other types of chemo treatment that we could use if Bling doesn't respond well to that. She said that I can give Bling a fourth to a third of her regular breakfast on treatment days. Today we didn't give her any food, so that's nice to know. Bling's terrified of thunderstorms and guns. We have out in the country, you hear some shooting. So I asked if we could give Bling her trazodone and CBD oil with chemo, would interfere with the chemo, and she said there's no conflict with that at all. She recommends giving some supplements, so we're really going to look into a holistic diet and some Chinese, herbs and different treatments that I know people have been recommending to me on Facebook to try. So we're definitely going to do everything we can to give Bling as healthy of a diet as possible. Bling's life expectancy with surgery, that buys us another year. With the chemo and possibly radiation, hopefully more. So I think we got at least a year, but hopefully 2. The cancer had spread to some lymph nodes in the sub-lumbar area, but not to any organs. So Bling is kind of in between a stage 2 and 3. If you wanted to say what stage she is in the cancer, stage 1 was confined to the anal gland. Stage 4 would be it had gone into the different internal organs and her lungs, and right now it's not gone any of those places. The heartworm medication, the vet wants us to put that off for right now, and we're going to a cold period when we don't really have the occurrence of mosquitoes, so we're going to hold off on that so it doesn't interfere with the treatment. And we've got Serenia if she gets diarrhea or has an upset stomach, and gabapentin for pain, which we've been giving her. And this was the interesting thing, is that after her chemo treatments, she can do some shedding of the chemo treatment drug, so to clean up after her wearing gloves, and to clean immediately when she defecates for the first 1 to 2 days and dispose of it, like it's toxic. And to, if she has any diarrhea or anything on any bedding, to immediately wash that. And fortunately we have a washer and dryer for the dogs exclusively down in our barn, so that'll keep us safe from having that mingled with our clothing. And the last thing is, during the testing, if they see in the future that it's spread to other lymph nodes or it's spreading, the best thing to do for her is to do another surgery and remove those metastasized glands, and that gives the dogs the most hope for as much time as possible. So we're really fortunate that we've got a good team working on her, and we've got a great plan of action, And Bling's in great shape. She's healthy. She's doesn't have any issues with her calcium, which can be a complication with this if her calcium levels were elevated. So we don't have that condition. And we've got a lot of you praying for her and sending well wishes and giving us tips and helpful hints and information. So we thank each one of you for your care and your love and your support. And I do plan on writing another book. I'm working on Bling's second book right now, which was about helping others in friendship. And I'm going to bring a third book in this next year and work on it. And it's about Bling dealing with cancer and going to the hospital, hopefully showing kids don't be afraid when somebody in your family is sick. Don't be afraid if you have to go to the hospital or your pets have to go to the hospital. So we're going to do that, and of course our coloring book. So we have a lot to do with Bling, and we look forward to having as much time with her as possible. Thank you again for your love and your concern and your prayers. We'll keep you posted. Don't forget to subscribe to Bling's channel for more videos. Bye.